Summer of fun is over. Welcome back to Upgrade. Now for the September draft for 2024. This is episode 527 for September 2nd, 2024. This episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN and Factor. My name is Myke Hurley, and I have the pleasure of being joined by my co-host and my combatant, Jason Snell. Hi, Jason.
I love the Upgrade Marching Band is here once again. The pride of the Upgrade podcast.
Led by
the
Chris
pride
Breen.
of Relay. Yes, led by drum major Christopher Breen. It is the what you hear them every so often. They come. They're fully dressed. They come in a bus. They get out. The Upgrade Marching Band. Love to hear them. Love to hear them. Although it's always sad when the summer goes away.
It sure is. I have a Snell Talk question for you, Jason. So we are drafting today because the iPhone event is next Monday. Monday is an interesting day.
Yeah.
Usually these things are on
True
Tuesday,
story.
but it's next Monday. Are you ready for iPhone season? This question comes from me.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's my answer. It just dawned on me last week that the way this works is when the iPhone hits, lots of things happen, including the release of OSs. That means that if I've got to do my OS review final, that has to be done. I need to wrap up my book about photos, which, they were still adding features to photos last week. And then the iPhone stuff happens. And really, that's the kickoff of what I think of as the busy season for us, where we're talking about that. And we'll probably have new Macs and maybe iPads and stuff in October. There's a lot to go on that usually kind of keeps us very busy until sometime in November, maybe, except that 1 year where it was till the end of December. And I realized last week that, I shouldn't look to September as the start because it already started last week. The stress level is rising. Do I feel ready? I don't. I feel unprepared. I feel like I've got too much to do, and I feel unprepared for this draft as well. But
maybe that will be to my favor.
We'll see
or
what
are
happens.
you doing that thing where, like, if you lose, you could be like, well, I wasn't ready?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Doesn't matter in the end, does it?
I don't know. Tell me.
I don't know.
Penance is an important thing,
Is it a conspiracy? Is it collusion? I don't know.
Like, as we said many times, we go from the summer of fun to the fall of content because there's a lot of it. There's going to be a lot of content coming your way over these next few weeks. So it kicks off now with the draft today.
It does.
This one it snuck up on me too, I would say, but I feel more prepared this year, just in general, for this period than I did last year. Last year was a disaster for me. I think similar to what you're going through right now. So I was at least a little bit more prepared, and I am pretty excited for Monday, actually. I'm looking forward to it, so we'll see. So if you would like to send in a Snell Talk question of your own, please send them in. Go to upgradefeedback.com and you can send in a Snell Talk to help us start a future episode of the show. September means some important stuff around these parts. It's not all iPhones. It's not all iOSs or Mac OSs, although Mac OS never really happens in September. It is also the time of year where we as a community come together to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, because September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. The Relay community is coming together once again to support the life-saving work of St. Jude, and we have now, collectively over the last 5 years, this happened last week, basically on the day we launched the campaign last week. We have now, as a community, raised over $3 million since we started this campaign in 2019, which is just an astronomical amount of money. And because of the incredible generosity of our community, Relay is actually, we're very excited to announce this. Relay is going to be recognized on a wall inside of the hospital that highlights corporations and organizations with their exceptional fundraising efforts for St. Jude. This wall is updated annually based on fundraising contributions. There's going to be a big unveiling later on in the year, and we'll be sharing photos of it. So thank you all this is all for all of us, right? This is like the legacy of us all as a community, that we have been honored in this way by St. Jude. So I think that's incredible. And St. Jude is incredibly important to us. One of the amazing things about St. Jude, so, as we said before, it is a hospital and a research institution that takes care of children who are suffering from cancer and other life-threatening diseases. But one of the great things that St. Jude does is their survivorship studies. These provide a greater understanding of the long-term effects of pediatric cancer treatment, and they help researchers develop new ways to minimize effects. And St. Jude Life is what it's called. It's a long-term follow-up study where St. Jude patients are brought back to the hospital every 5 years for an assessment. It helps researchers learn about the long-term health of a child and childhood cancer and its survivors so they can find ways to reduce treatment-related health conditions. St. Jude Life is one of the only data sets in the world with the ability to comprehensively represent racial and ethnic groups that are often left out of childhood cancer survivorship. In April, scientists from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital announced the St. Jude Survivorship Portal, which is the first data portal for sharing, analyzing, and visualizing pediatric cancer survivorship data. This portal is a huge big data platform. It incorporates clinical and genomic information, creating an unprecedented research system. It houses 1,600 phenotypic variables. How would you say this word, Jason? Phenotypic. Phenotype, thank you. Variables and 400 million genetic variants from over 7,700 childhood cancer survivors. That number is incredible because that is like, did you think of how many children saved? Like, that's this tiny portion of them, and then they're able to use it's incredible. It also has 500 million clinical data points and hundreds of terabytes of genetic data. And you'd think, wow, this seems like a big effort. But this is the great thing about St. Jude. That portal is free to use and open with open access as a part of St. Jude Cloud. So this is something they offer to people all around the world to learn from the incredible work that they do. The Relay community has adopted this campaign as its own, and it's so easy for you as part of this community to get involved. If you hear things like this, you hear us talking about this on our shows throughout the month, we want you to go to stjude.org/relay because you can donate there and you can help support this life-saving work. But you can also register to create a fundraiser of your own, and you can join us in raising money for St. Jude. After you sign up, you can share your fundraiser with your friends, your family, your co-workers. You can spread the word for this amazing mission, and you can increase the amount that you as an individual can help contribute towards St. Jude. Folks who host their own fundraisers also can earn some limited edition incentives. This year's are better than ever. You can find all the details at stjude.org/relay. So please go to stjude.org, stjude.org/relay to donate today and create your own campaign. And of course, the podcastathon is coming up. It's going to be on September 20th. Jason's going to be in Memphis again, and we're going to be having a ton of fun. This one is, as always, bigger and better than ever, and I cannot wait for you to see that, and we'll have more information on it later.
I want to emphasize not longer. Just be clear.
Bigger and better, never longer than 12 hours, I think, is what we learned. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And, we spend a lot of time talking about this throughout the month of September, and it is for a very, very good reason. So please go to stjude.org/relay. It's time to read the rules for the draft.
I'll remain seated.
You should. We have 10 rounds with 20 overall picks, plus a bonus round that is returning, which we'll talk about a little later on in the show. The draft this year will be split into 3 distinct categories: iPhone picks, Apple Watch picks, and other picks. The winner of the previous draft will get first pick, and that is Jason. The items that we are drafting, so the specific things, they are chosen from a predetermined list of choices that Jason and I have worked on, and we have agreed that they could be verifiable on screen as part of the presentation and not ridiculously obvious. For an item to count, it must either be clearly announced on stage or on a slide during the presentation. Stephen Hackett will act as adjudicator in case of a scoring stalemate between the two of us. There are no partial points awarded, and the points awarded on the episode are final and finalized during the scoring segment. In the case of a tie, there is a tiebreaker question. The loser gets picked off said tiebreaker question. The winner of the draft becomes draft champion and displays the champion pennant. The loser becomes draft challenger and displays the challenger pennant. Currently, I am draft challenger. Jason is draft champion. You'll be able to play along with us next week using the wonderful interactive scorecard that is created by friend of the show, Zach Knox. These are always available at upgrade.cards. You can buy your own draft t-shirt at upgradeyourwardrobe.com. I have some results of this year and previous September events. So the 2024 results so far, we have one draft apiece. I won the May event, and Jason won WWDC. So Jason is the current winner. We have had 8 total September events that we have drafted. Jason, you have won 6 of those. I have won 2 of those, but my last 2 are the last 2 years. So I am on a streak right now. So that's where we are to this point. Tiebreaker time?
Tiebreaker time.
Okay.
And we got in the habit of it being me picking because I lost a bunch, but I believe I get to set the over-under this time.
I'm not going to lie, Jason. Even though it's in the rules, I actually never remember how this part works.
I know.
So
it doesn't matter. And the way it works is very complementary because both sides have advantages and disadvantages. Yep. The over-under is 80 minutes of runtime. You can decide, is it going to be over or under?
80 minutes?
Let's say 81 minutes.
Oh, why would you do that?
I'm going to add a little. I'm going to add a little flavor to it. 81 minutes. You want me to do 82? I could do 82.
I mean, if I keep doing this, will you go to 150? I'm going to say over 81 minutes.
Okay. All right. That's good.
The reason, let me tell you, do you want to know why I want to go with that?
Why?
Apple Intelligence.
Yeah. I mean, we've already seen it, but they could bring it back again. If you look at the runtimes of recent events, these streaming only events, they are all around this. Sometimes they're more like 75 minutes. Sometimes they're more like 90 minutes. It's really kind of in there. You had set the over under at 80 minutes, thinking that I was going to pick it, and I was going to pick the over. But I think so therefore 81. But I think it varies. We don't know, right? We just don't know. Nope. So it's a good tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. They showed it. I think they're going to use this as an opportunity to show it again. I think
people pay attention. I mean, right?
Yeah, I would expect Apple knows more people are paying attention to the iPhone event than WWDC.
Exactly. Everybody knows. Everybody should know. If you don't know, the iPhone event is hugely more watched than any other Apple event of the year. So, and therefore, if there's any message Apple wants to get across, they can use the iPhone event as the vehicle to launch it.
Yeah, we've said this many times. It is part of Cupertinology. Yep. If they have a product that they want people to know about, they launch it alongside the iPhone.
Yeah,
exactly. That is the thing that they do.
Ago.
Apple Watch, they did it with the iPad Pro.
Yep.
That is just the way that they do things. We have a bonus round. We're going to do it now. It's called the St. Jude Challenge. So we brought this in last time because one of the things that happens as part of the podcast-a-thon is we started this last year, we're continuing it this year. It is Myke versus Steven. We will be competing in a variety of games and activities during the podcast-a-thon and some things before. And considering we have games here, why would we not contribute points towards this? So there are going to be points on the line for this round. There is also 1 draft point for the winner. It will be adjudicated by upgrade scorecard keeper Zach Knox because Stephen could benefit from this, so we can't trust him.
Yes.
We have picked 5 phrases or words that could be said during the keynote, and we have 10 total points that we can bet on each of these things happening or being said. So we can place as many points as we want. Whoever gets the most points totaled wins the point for the draft. We'll also take that person's points, multiply them by 10, and add them to the St. Jude total for either me or Steven. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. I'll add a little caveat here. Once we get to the end, if we want to adjust our point totals because we don't like it, then we can do that.
Yeah, that is the sportspersonship of the draft.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
That's how we work around here. The first phrase of which we can assign any of our 10 points to is next generation Siri.
Next generation Siri. Not a phrase they've used. And yet, I don't know. They want to get across that Siri is new. I'll put a point down.
You helped me significantly here because I thought that they had used that phrase. And
I don't think they have.
Whether they have or they haven't, we shouldn't look it up now because, draftcraft. But I was going to put all of my 10 points on this at one point. I decided not to do that in the sake of the game.
I'm going to redefine it. What's the phrase? I think the phrase is next generation in referring to Siri.
Yeah, I think that's good. I have one of that in a minute. I'm going to put 2 points down still, though.
Oh, okay. Well, Interesting.
It's different to 10.
It is. Wow. All right. Good. Next.
Emmy Awards.
Emmy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put four.
Okay.
Apple loves their awards.
They sure do. And in July, they scored 72 nominations for the Emmys. So I'm sure that they will want to talk about that. They do love a good award ceremony. I'm going to say 2, though, because this is
Okay.
like, will they have? I mean, we'll find out what we think
TV
about
segment?
that. If they don't have that segment, they're not going to talk about it. You know, like the Emmy
Yeah.
award-winning iPhone is probably not going to come up.
Maybe not.
The next is RAM
Uh-huh.
or memory
Okay.
in relation to the iPhone.
Yes.
So, and I want to state this now for like, we have lots of potential picks that we can make that say RAM, but again, if they say memory,
That's
I think
fine.
that's also fine because we know what that means.
Yes. They're not going to refer to the storage as memory, right? Because they're not going to do that. They're much more technical than that. But they might think that memory is a much more friendly phrase, and that's fine.
Yep. So how many points are you going to assign for RAM?
Let's. I again reserve the right to change this later. I'm going to say 0.
Oh, okay. I'm saying 3.
Okay. They haven't before, but
Nope.
Apple Intelligence would be a reason to do it, and
Yes.
talking about the phones would be a
Mhm.
reason to do it.
Let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
In that conversation for later on in the
All right.
episode. Google Gemini.
Yeah. Okay, I threw this in here because
is
I think the
good.
question is, will they have an announcement of another, like at WWDC, they actually even mentioned Google Gemini as a possible thing, but we've heard no reports of Apple and Google's negotiations about potentially bringing Google Gemini as a feed into Apple Intelligence, just as ChatGPT is. I do wonder if we will hear Apple mention Google Gemini, even if it's as a for example, but that would require a level of formality that I think is pretty powerful. And I'm for now, again, we'll get to the end and I'll see what I'm thinking here, but for now I'm going to say 0.
I'm going to say 3.
All right. You thinking there's a real possibility?
I think there's a possibility of a deal being done, yeah. I do. It goes back to reporting from a lot earlier in the year, right? That Apple were trying to make this work, and Craig Federighi kept talking about them.
Yeah.
And the rumors were that it would be before the end of the year that they would do it, and I actually think it would behoove them to have another partner than OpenAI before they launch it. I think, and so
I agree.
maybe it will be somebody else,
will
right?
they?
Maybe it will be Claude. Maybe it will be something else. I
Mhm.
don't know, but I think they.
It would be a good time to have it.
Yeah,
This would be a good time.
I do think that the Google's event where they showed off the Pixels, they spent so much time showing off other phones using Gemini that this Google has a couple of things going on. One of them is they need to show that they are the future of search, and
Yeah.
I think Gemini for them is a part of that, and I think it would be very beneficial for them to be on the iPhone, to be built into the iPhone.
In our WWDC episode, we talked about how having ChatGPT as a partner for Apple sort of made sense because their competitor in the smartphone landscape, Google, has Gemini, has its own AI system, and that ChatGPT, OpenAI, like they don't have their own operating system. They don't have that advantage. They've got like their deal with Microsoft for Windows, but on a phone they don't have that. And so a deal with Apple, especially a deal where like no money is changing hands and they're just providing it to Apple and all of that, like I can see the reasons for that. It would be quite a coup for Google to say we are on all smartphones, right? Like that would be really good. And Google and Apple have relationships. It would actually kind of make sense. And Apple is obviously approaching this as, like a search engine, except even, without maybe the connotations of the default search engine issues that they're having. The idea of like, we don't care. Use whatever chatbot source you want. And so if they have Gemini in there, I think that makes that makes them feel good because they're like, we got Gemini, we got ChatGPT, we got all the great ones. Pick your poison, whatever. And so it's good for Google, it's good for Apple. I would say, yeah, it's bad for OpenAI because now their arch rival is on both smartphone platforms, and that's harder for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, too bad, right? So I think the real question is, has this deal been done? If they've done a deal and they've kept it quiet, if they've done the deal and they want to announce it, this is the perfect place to do it, right? Which is to say, not only all of this, but by the end of the year, not only ChatGPT, but also Google Gemini will be on the iPhone. But, that did they? Will they?
It is very, it's like the reason that I'm confident this will happen at least at some point is it is very strange for an executive at Apple to say they want something publicly.
I know, right?
Yeah.
They mentioned it by name.
Yes. Very
they were not coy about it.
And they didn't say a list of things, right? It's not like he listed all of the popular. He just said Google Gemini. So it was part of the talk show. So it would be very strange, I think, for them to say it if they didn't want it. And if they want it, why would Google not do it? Like, realistically, why would Google not do it? And so I think there is a strong possibility that it will happen, but not 10 points strong.
Sure. Right.
Finally,
the last phrase.
Blow away.
Blow away. Everybody's favorite.
I hate it so much.
I hate it too.
Yeah.
I hate it. They used it last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
It's very upsetting.
Well, I have 5 points left, so I guess they go here.
Oh, really? I'm putting
okay,
0
we're at the
on
end now,
blow
so
away.
we can rejigger if we want to here.
Yeah, I feel happy with mine.
I'm going to put blow away down to 4 and take next generation up to 2.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll leave them where they are.
So I'll just give a rundown of that. Next generation, in referring to Siri, Jason's put 2 points. I've put 2 points. Emmy Awards.
Canceled.
Just basically, this is a reference of Emmys. Like if Emmys are mentioned, Jason gets 4 points. I get 2. RAM or memory, in referring to the iPhone, Jason has 0 points. I have 3. Google Gemini, Jason has 0. I have 3. And blow away, Jason has 4. I have 0. I like that there are some significant differences in here, so it could create some fun moments while we're watching the draft.
Absolutely.
And this will be one especially that we want you to help with. So, once you've watched the event, share your scorecards of us in Discord and on social media. Because this one, I remember being particularly difficult to keep track of.
This one's really hard.
We
need
hard.
the community to mark these off because
make sure
we
we're
don't
getting them.
Necessarily hear every word.
And remember, you can find the scorecard of your own by going to upgrade.cards, where you can see that. This episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN. How did you choose which internet service provider to use? The sad thing is, many people, they don't really have a choice. ISPs have a lot of controls in the regions in which they serve. Unfortunately, some ISPs could take this as an opportunity, take advantage of their customers. Data caps, streaming throttles, the list goes on. And they could keep a log of every website that you visit, unless you use ExpressVPN. Without ExpressVPN, third parties could see every website you visit, even in incognito mode. That could be your ISP, your mobile network provider, or the admins of the Wi-Fi network that you're on. The good news is ExpressVPN reroutes 100% of your traffic through secure encrypted servers, so third parties would not be able to see your browsing history. It's incredibly easy to use. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. And it works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, smart TV boxes, and more, so you can stay private on the go. It's easy to see why it has been rated number 1 by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. I use it myself too. The main place where I use ExpressVPN is when I'm traveling, and I use it because I'm connecting to free Wi-Fi networks that I have no control over, and it allows me to change the location of where the network thinks that I am, so I can catch up on the shows that I was watching from home, or even I wanted to buy something a couple of days ago. I wanted to buy a bag, and they weren't shipping to the UK, but I'm going to America soon, so I could ship it to Stephen. But they wouldn't let me do it because I'm in the UK, so I fired up ExpressVPN, said that I was in America, and the website let me in, and I could buy the bag that I wanted. Protect your online activity today by visiting expressvpn.com/upgrade. That's expressvpn.com/upgrade, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. That is expressvpn.com/upgrade to learn more. Our thanks to ExpressVPN for their support of this show and all of Relay. It's time for the first draft picks, the full-on draft picks. So we turn our attention to everybody's favorite, the iPhone. Jason, what is your first round iPhone pick?
With the first pick in the Apple event draft, I choose faster A series chips introduced.
Very good. Very good. Yep.
Will there be new chips? Oh, yes, there will be.
Mm-hmm.
Why would there not be?
There has to be.
It's almost obvious. I should have almost even lined it out, but it's okay. Faster. Some of these are... you got to get on the board.
No.
You got to get on
So
the
here's
board.
the thing. There has to be. It doesn't mean they will do it. Right? So, I believe there has to be. You believe there has to be. Especially because the iPhone 16 cannot run Apple Intelligence. However, for all we know, they're going to say Apple Intelligence is a pro feature only. We don't... Look, the likelihood of that, near zero.
And we're not updating our chips.
They could do it, right? They could do it.
But we know that they've got the Pro phones on the 3-nanometer process they're trying to get off of, which presumably means there will be a new chip generation announced. And to answer the question, what if there's only one chip and not two chips? That's not what this pick is. This pick is that there will be a faster A-series chip.
Yeah. It makes sense, right, that they will do this for obvious reasons. I think they should get them all up, right, so they can better support the features they didn't know they were going to be introducing, I think, when they created the chip that's in the 15 Pro.
Yeah.
Is it the 17 Pro, A17 Pro? Is that chip? Is that what it's called? Ooh, I'm really bad with that. I'm really
not
bad.
Bionic. Yeah.
No, it's called the Pro. I know it's Pro.
A17 Pro.
I'm really bad at the numbers of the chips. I wish the numbers of the chips matched the phones at least.
I know.
But they
don't.
the
OS.
I wish all the numbers were the same. It should be the year number, right? We said it before. Samsung, they worked it out, right? S24 or whatever. Like, that is perfect.
Yep.
They know. Yeah, okay. This is good. I reckon they'll do it. It was actually my second pick, and then I realized it should have been my first pick, but I wouldn't have had it anyway. My first round pick is that it's actually a thing I can't believe is happening, but all of the rumors are pointing to it happening. The Pro phones will be getting larger screens.
Oh, Pro phones getting larger screens. Interesting.
So all of the case leaks and a lot of the rumors point towards the Pro phones are getting bigger, like physically bigger. Which I'm not thrilled about, because that means they will get heavier again, like a little bit.
Right.
And I don't really want that to happen. Neither do I. This is coming from me. Neither do I actually want my screen to get any bigger than it currently is. Would you like some breaking news, Jason, from me?
I would.
Personally? I was going to share this with you here. I'm thinking about getting the smaller Pro phone.
What?
I know. I need to think about it, but I think I'm going to do it.
Why? What? Why?
It's a two-pronged thing for me.
Everybody remember that time when Myke just completely lost it during a draft one time?
Look.
What's going on?
I've been thinking about it because I wanna work on my phone less. And so a smaller phone will force me to do that, I think, right? Where, like, if I want to do something like look at a spreadsheet, I need to get a bigger screen, and then I can decide if I want to do that in that moment. Adina has the smaller Pro phone, and I was, like, playing around with it this weekend to try and get the feel of it. It feels so good. And, like, I could do everything with one hand.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, also with the phone, they're getting big. I don't think I really want them bigger. So I'm thinking about getting the smaller one. So it's like I want to work less on my phone, but I still want to have the features that I want. This year, it seems like a lot of the features will be matched up. So I'm considering it. That is a very good feeling phone, which will also be getting a little bit bigger anyway. And if it's going to get heavier, I also don't really want that. I'm willing to give it a try because my thinking is the worst that happens is I get the smaller phone and use it for a few months and then sell it and buy the bigger one. Like that's the worst that could happen, and then I'll lose a couple $100 or whatever.
Yeah, you're bargaining now.
I'm gonna see.
Well,
I'm thinking about
welcome,
it. It's
Myke.
not done yet.
Seriously.
It's not done yet. It's not done yet. We'll see.
Wow.
It's also
All right.
a function of how much I use my iPad. I'm like turning into you a little bit.
Okay, good.
So we'll see.
You're growing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my next pick is that the capture button is introduced.
Darn it. You know, it sucks to pick second. It's like, it really sucks to pick second.
It does.
Okay.
It does. I don't know why we're
forgotten what
giving
this
the
was
advantage to
like.
the person who won the last time instead of the person who lost the
It's
last
been
time.
Jason, it's been a really long time for me.
Mhm.
You're picking
know.
all my picks.
I know. It's like if you make a basket and then you get the ball back, right? It's not really fair.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to say about the capture
any color about the capture button?
Yeah.
It's very, very much rumored. I thought you were going to pick this when you said I kind of don't believe it, but I'm going to pick it because this is how I feel about the capture button. The idea here is that it's rumored so strongly that I think it must exist, and I kind of like the idea. After they already added the action button, to add a capture button seems kind of wild, but a lot of our arguments for the action button actually go even better for the capture button, which is it's a dedicated photography feature, physical feature on the phone that lets you use your phone more like a camera when you're using your phone like a camera, which is all the time. So the idea that they would do that and they'd have a button completely dedicated to taking pictures, it makes sense. I remember when Apple didn't like buttons, but apparently Apple is back on the button train, so capture button is introduced.
I would dig this button, especially if it is what is rumored, right? That you would press it, it opens the camera. You can lightly press it to focus, press it harder to take the photo, and you'll be able to swipe on it to do something, whatever that might be, zooming
change
or
modes
changing
or whatever.
modes.
Yeah.
I think for me, I would love that. And I would especially love it because it would mean that I could remove the camera icon from my home screen. Because I know that's a thing in iOS 18, but I don't think I would want to do it because I use that button. But I would use the physical, quote-unquote, physical button, passive button that would be on the phone. That's what I would more likely use because it's like dedicated for that. I think it's a good idea, honestly. And it's one of these things where it's like, why now?
I know. It's weird. Well, I think, okay, here's my overarching theory, and we'll talk about this more next week, undoubtedly. But I think some of these features that we think, that's kind of weird. Why a capture button or why an action button and all of that? I think one of the reasons is because Apple knows that this is the 5th year of basically the same design. And so they're really motivated late in a design cycle because there are rumors that there's going to be a dramatically redesigned at least one model next year. This is the kind of stuff you do, right? You add a lot of flair, you add a lot of bits. If you've got a new chip that's nice, if you got some software like Apple Intelligence, you throw that in there. Yeah. Maybe that person who's been saying we should have a dedicated camera button for like 10 years, finally you're like, Jimmy, this year you get your camera button. And Jimmy goes, it's so great, I'm so excited.
The dedicated camera button is the third-party keyboards of the iPhone hardware, right?
A little bit.
Because we got to a point and they were like, yeah, you could just do third-party keyboards now. Why? Because the person who has been arguing this for the last 5 years finally got what they wanted.
We ran out of... Well, yeah, exactly. And in the case of the iPhone design right now, let's be serious. They've kind of run out of things they can do with it.
Yep.
It is... I mean, again, I don't love the discourse of like, the iPhone is boring now. But yeah, I mean, smartphones aren't like they were in the early days. And this is the length of a design generation is much longer. And at the end of it, you start iterating around the edges and trying to find ways to make it different and interesting so people want to buy your product. And those arguments that maybe in year 1 or year 2 are like, we don't need to do that. We have a brand new phone design. We're fine. When you're in year 5, you're like, yeah, maybe so. Maybe we should do that.
And, the thing to remember is like we're maybe on the verge of like the iPhone 17 Slim, right? And then maybe the year after that, they use that idea to fold. Like that's what you do. Like you have to go wild with it, and they can't do that with the iPhone. Like the standard iPhone, they can't do that.
And to be clear, I think this is a good idea. I raved about this idea with the action button too, the idea that you have a physical thing on your phone that does a thing in software. Because when we had cameras, like dedicated cameras, and people who still use them, like there are buttons on them to do things like the shutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, all of us see it, even if we're really great at it and we know what volume button will run the shutter and all of that stuff. Like people out in the world struggle with touchscreen controls in bright light on their phone when they're trying to hold it steady and get the right shot and then also touch the touchscreen control to take a picture. And if you can make it physically easier and everybody just knows that there's an easy way to take a picture, it's better. Like, bottom line, it's better. So I do think this is a smart feature. I think if it's got multiple modes, then it's extra smart. So, like, yeah, bring it on. It just seems weird to me because, remember, there was a time when Apple was like, no. The goal is no buttons. Yeah. And now every year they're adding a button to this thing.
The iPhone 25 is just buttons. The
it's
entire rail is buttons. It's just all buttons.
It's all buttons, yeah. It's all buttons all around it. That's how you attach the cases, actually. You just push the buttons through the holes and you just button it up.
The iPhone 5C case, all buttons in those holes.
Yeah.
All buttons.
Yeah. It's going to be the new
oops, all buttons.
Yeah, oops, all buttons, exactly. The new case thing, people are like, what's going to happen with fine woven? The answer is it's being replaced with a sweater, the iPhone sweater. It's knitted and you button it up and it's lovely. It's like the iPhone sock is back.
There are those cases where it's like bubble wrap, right? Where they're like the little bubble. You've seen those where it looks like bubble wrap. And you just push all the little buttons in. My Amazing. Second round pick is that the 5x zoom will be on both Pro models.
Okay. All right. This is a good pick because I think we all think, and as somebody with a smaller phone, I think having the Tetra Prism thing come to the smaller phone is a great step forward.
Yeah.
My only question for you is, but what if they increase the zoom on the big model?
Well, we could call it Tetra Prism Zoom. I don't know. But I'm going to stick at 5. We're just going to stick it at that.
Yeah.
Come on, let's live a little.
On both. 5X on both. I think this is the most likely scenario, is that they don't upgrade the zoom on the bigger model. They just bring the smaller model in line.
A lot, I think, for them to do a year-on-year improvement of that lens style. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Kind of unnecessary,
I agree.
I think, to go further.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it's like, okay, so, I get these review units. I was going around Memphis zooming in last year when we were there for the podcast. I'm zooming on stuff. That Pro Max model that's amazing. I would love to have that zoom on my camera.
Yep.
On the smaller model. And maybe your model too.
Maybe.
Myke, maybe.
If it's the one I go for.
Maybe.
Round 3?
Okay. I'm going back to the capture button again because we had 2 capture button picks. So I'm just going to double up on capture button. Capture button has multiple functions. So, for example, press strength, swiping, those things we talked about. The idea that not only does it bring up the camera or take a picture, but if you do a certain gesture, it will do a focus or it will change modes. So it's more than just, whether it's a swipe or a tap or a pressure sensitivity, that there will be an additional function. It's not going to just be a call up the camera button.
My pick is something that I have... Honestly, I really desperately want them to do. Ultra-wide lens improvements.
Ultra-wide lens improvements. Now, I was thinking about taking this one, and my question for you is, what do you mean by this? Because there's changes to the lens, there's changes to the sensor, right? There's a rumor about that the actual ultra-wide camera will get upgraded to 48.
Yeah, that is what I mean. That's what I mean. Okay. So maybe we could just call it ultra-wide camera.
Ultra-wide camera improvements. Great. Now, what motivates you here?
So I have been very disappointed with a lot of the photos that my iPhone 15 takes, and it's because with the 48 megapixel wide angle lens that they put in, the focal distance on it is such that photos that you take that are of something close to you, it typically moves into the macro mode automatically, and uses the ultra wide lens to take that photo.
Right.
And so I find the majority of my photos to be not good, honestly. The colors are not good, and they're
it's
too
literally
sharp.
downgrading you, right? Because the ultra wide is a downgrade. So you're taking with the best camera, and then suddenly you're not taking with the best camera.
And I would say probably the majority of photos that I take in my life are things that are closer to me than further away. And so I've been like, so I was
take
actually
back
playing,
what I said about the zoom. Then
Yeah. Well, no, look, I like the zoom as
Yeah,
a utility to have, right?
but you take a lot of pictures that end up forced into macro mode. I get it.
I took a picture of a piece of paper today, like just a white piece of paper, and it came out gray. And it's like this. I don't understand what they're doing with the. And so I actually then opened Halide because they have that new feature called Process Zero, where it removes all the processing. Took the picture with that and edited it a little bit to bring up the color because it's a little bit desaturated. It looked so much better for what I wanted out of that. Because the piece of paper looked like a white piece of paper. It didn't look like a piece of paper with a big grey splodge in the middle, which is what the default camera app made it look like. So I am very hopeful for the rumors because I'm basically picking something I want, which is that they're going to put the same 48 megapixel sensor in the ultra wide, and what I'm hoping is that will increase the quality of images that are closer to me again. Because the thing is, yes, you can turn off the quote unquote macro mode when it switches on, but then you don't get good. Then things are out of focus. So it's like, I think it was a bit of I think the iPhone camera has been degraded. That's my kind of feeling after a year of the iPhone 15. That for the majority of things that I'm taking pictures of, it's worse than before. So I'm hoping for that improvement.
Yeah, that's good. I think continuity camera uses the ultra wide as well, and I was like, if it was better, you could zoom in more.
Yep.
If it was 48, you could zoom in more.
Yep.
And
lovely.
It would look better for continuity camera, which would be nice.
Yeah, that continuity camera feature where you can go in and on the Mac and you can move things and zoom in and out. That's so good. Yeah. It's so good. Big fan of that.
All right, with my next pick, I am going to pick Apple Intelligence. This is an iPhone feature. We put it in the iPhone feature. I think it counts. It's what everybody cares about the new iPhone. It's going to be Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence features are given a date more specific than this fall. Right now, Apple Intelligence is coming this fall. And I think if they're trying to close the deal on people buying an iPhone, I think they need to say it's coming in October. It's coming in November. So I'm going to put a chip down here because they could just shine us all on and be like, oh, later this fall, later this year. But I'm going to say they're going to feel the need to be a little more specific. Also, honestly, it's in beta right now, and it's not perfect, but they could totally ship it, which makes me feel like saying by the end of October or in October or early November and putting a stake in the ground so you go out and buy an iPhone because it's just next month. Just next month, the AI features will be there. And the longer the date is away and the vaguer they are about that date, I think the weaker their presentation is. So that would be my argument. If I was inside at Apple, that would be my argument to be like, we need to be specific about Apple Intelligence, as specific as possible, because otherwise you are selling a phone where its most interesting feature doesn't exist and will not exist for an unknown amount of time. So, that's what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, I'm going to double down on this one with you and say that if they don't give a more specific date window, the presentation's a bit of a failure, honestly.
The only angle that I would say they could do instead of this would literally be to launch a public beta of 18.1 and say Apple Intelligence will be available later this year to everyone or later this fall to everyone, but it's in public beta now, so you can just go get it if you want it before then. They could try to play that game, but I wouldn't recommend it.
If they do that, does that score you?
No, I don't think so. If they play the beta game, I don't think so. I think they need to actually say when this thing is shipping.
When is it out?
Yeah.
I agree with you. At a minimum, they need to do that. But they need to. The reason they're going to spend so much time talking about this being the perfect phone for Apple Intelligence, because I was looking something up today, on the MacBook Pro product page, right? If you go to the MacBook Pro product page right now, the very it was on one of the pages somewhere. It said, here you go. If you go to the buy, right? Go to MacBook Pro, click buy. It says built for Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it really wasn't. Like, it genuinely was not.
It was not.
But like this iPhone is the closest to being that.
Yeah.
So they have to say when it's available.
I'm going to give a little more here about my pick, which I'm going to say, if they pitch it as you can just opt into a beta of Apple Intelligence on device and say when, or say that that's available now, right? I think that that's what I'm saying here, because I guess that's the other way they could do this, is they could basically like be sneaky and say, well, Apple Intelligence is a beta and you opt into it and it gets installed and all of that.
That's always going to be the case.
If it's not join the public beta, but it's more like Apple Intelligence beta is available on phones. But we'll see. I'm willing to be open. But what I'm not saying is
let's say
the beta
right,
doesn't make it a pick.
Because they're going to launch this in beta, like that, because they'd be silly not to. But
yes,
that is different to join the beta program, the iOS 18 beta program.
It's yes, I would argue that's the weak fallback is, but it's not available for a while, but you could be in the public beta if you wanted, is not a great look.
Essentially,
so
maybe an easier way to say this is like, they say when iOS 18.1 is coming out, right? Like that's actually what we're looking for, right? Like, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
It's Apple Intelligence. We'll get it.
Sure. My fourth round pick is that there will be vertical camera lenses on the iPhone 16.
Oh yes, right. So this is you're going back to your case contacts.
Yes. I've been analyzing some imagery.
The idea, so for people who don't understand this, there was a time not too long ago where instead of a big square camera terrace on the back of your iPhone, there were two little cameras in a little vertical kind of like rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
And the rumor is that the iPhone 16 is going to be like that the flash is going to be flush with the case, flush outside of the little bump, and the bump will just be the two cameras on the iPhone 16, and so it'll be smaller and vertical,
which would look nicer.
And
I think it would look nicer,
and then also capable of shooting in stereo.
Yeah.
So,
although I'm not actually sure that's as important as the thing as when they probably initially designed this phone, but that's a conversation for another day, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think again, like there will be a bunch of things that they're doing to these phones to try and do the "Hey, look at me, I'm new." Like there were rumors of the frames going shiny again rather than matte on the Pro phones, and they do new colors, right? And this will be another of those. That on the regular iPhone, the back of the phone's going to look different, so indicating that it is the new phone. So I think we're likely to see that.
Yeah, makes sense.
What is your final pick in the iPhone round?
Well, Myke, I'm out of the good picks now.
Okay.
Now I'm struggling with things that I don't really believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of them do I really believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's
not very Ted Lasso like.
I know it's not. I need a pep talk from Ted Lasso.
Which we might not get to this, by the way, actually. But like, apparently Ted Lasso might be coming back. We said it was going to happen, and it's happening.
Yeah, the money truck apparently has arrived at Jason Sudeikis' house.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can proceed with casting for a season 4 of Ted Lasso or a spinoff or whatever.
Something. Continuation of the Ted Lasso expanded universe.
Okay. Oh, boy. I'm sorry this is so boring. I'm going to go with increased screen brightness on an iPhone.
All right.
That one of the screens they claim is brighter than it was last year.
Hey.
I don't love it.
Valid. Right.
But I think they do it, right? Just say the screen is brighter. And it might be, I don't know which model, but like one of the models will be like, oh, it's brighter.
So I have the final pick, which means I have the ability to talk aloud, my short list. And really, I feel like in general, what I am trying to do here is I'm not just going for the win, I'm going for glory. So I'm picking things that aren't boring, I think.
I love it.
And I have two things that I'm trying to settle on. One is Apple mentions RAM increases for the iPhone line.
Yep.
The other is Apple mentions some Apple Intelligence features that are not coming to the iPhone 16. So like that there are specific features
like
for the
Pro
16
features.
Pro. Yeah. They're the two that I'm circling around. And like, let me talk about the RAM thing for a minute, because I know there's like, when we mentioned it earlier, there are people in the Discord that were like, "There's no way they're going to do it." They've never done this before, right? They have never spoken about RAM in an iPhone before.
But now it matters.
Now it matters, and it matters to people that are paying attention. Like, you need RAM now for AI. I imagine this could be the first time where they talk about increasing it, or they talk about how much that there is. Because I think it's going to be a story of all of their products as a way to show commitment to AI.
Yes.
So I can see it happening.
I can see them not doing it, but I can see that this might be, if you're ever going to talk about memory in an iPhone, now is the time. I
would never, ever have picked this before, right? Like, there is no draft in history where I would have even just thought about it.
They don't like to talk about it. They don't even, I mean, for years they didn't even mention it on their tech specs. They do now, I think. But like, for years they didn't even do it there, because they want you to think of an iPhone as just a specless device. It's literally just the model is all you need to know. What model did you get? And storage is part of it, right? Because they want to upsell you on storage. But computer specs like RAM and processor speed and stuff like that, they don't want to talk about unless it serves them, though. And this is my counter argument is, I mean, CPU cores and GPU cores are pretty nerdy too. And they do talk about them when they can boast about it.
It's only part of the story now.
Maybe they boast about the memory now.
Yeah, like,
I don't know. This is a good one.
Feeds weren't important until now in phones, but now they're important. Like, AI has made it important. And you're right. They spend way too much time during the iPhone presentation talking about how many GPU cores they have and the size of their neural engine, right?
Exactly.
You know, I'm picking it. You've talked me into it. Apple mentions RAM or memory increases for the iPhone line.
Okay.
I think
sounds good.
Look, are they going to do it? I don't know, but if they do, I feel real good about making this pick, because I genuinely think we have the potential for this to happen, and it would be, I think, pretty monumental if they actually do it. So I think it'd be fun.
No, I think this is a more likely scenario than the other one you were going to pick, because and we can talk about this more maybe in Upgrade Plus when we often talk about things we didn't pick. But I'll just say here, the impression I get about Apple and Apple Intelligence is, usually when there's an iOS announcement, they hold stuff back, right? They hold stuff back for the new phone. And so you would say, oh, obviously they've held some stuff back, some Apple Intelligence stuff that they're going to spring on us for the new phones. Obviously. Well, I don't think that's the case, because I think that they shoveled everything they possibly could into the Apple Intelligence announcement in order to make it look impressive, and that's all they've got. That's my opinion. My opinion is there's no surprise. It will be interesting to see what happens, but my opinion is there's no surprise coming, because this is all they got. I mean, that's it.
We've seen more than they're going to put in the OS maybe before WWDC next year, right? So that's a very good point, right? Like, they would love to have some stuff that was just for the... What I was thinking more, like, I agree with you. What I was thinking more is like there was going to be some feature we'd seen that's only in the pros, but I think that is maybe a stretch too far.
I can't see that, because they've already said that that'll work with the 15 Pro. So it would have to work with the 15 Pro and the 16 Pro, but not the
16, which would be strange. There's too many too many circles in that Venn diagram, right? Like to make that work.
Yeah. Which iPhone is right for you?
Yep. But
has this feature, doesn't have this feature.
They do. It's not like they don't do things like this, right? Like software features that could run. Like, we'll remember Stage Manager.
So, yeah, my feeling is Apple Intelligence is, one, too important for the company, and two, too early for them to be withholding portions of it. I think the message they want to give is, whatever new iPhone you buy this fall, you get Apple Intelligence. And in fact, I am going to predict, not a draft pick, but I'm going to predict that because they've got this whole private cloud compute thing that they're doing, that for a little while here, you're going to be able to do everything that does Apple Intelligence on all the devices that are compatible with it, because what they'll probably do is start having things, the way compatibility will work is there'll be some devices that are really fast that can execute on device, and then there are other devices that aren't capable and that'll execute in the cloud. And so the differentiation won't be you can't do it, it'll be it's slower, because we have to go to the cloud.
Yeah.
So I think, that's my guess about how they're viewing Apple Intelligence is it's a brand. If you're in, you're in. We're not going to tell you that Apple Intelligence for some, but not for others. It's like you're in or you're out with Apple Intelligence. That's my guess about how
I think a lot of the like M1, M2 devices, the Macs and iPads, they're probably going to be relying on the cloud a little bit more than some of the more modern devices, because they are also pretty much always connected. Right, because they're usually at home, those devices. So
right. Although I would say a lot of those devices are way more powerful than iPhones. So
the M1
I don't know.
Max, surely not.
Yeah, I mean the M1 Max are pretty good, but you're right. That's going to be it depends on the memory too.
But even
we'll see. We'll see how they handle
just
it.
have the opportunity to offload that stuff more if they want to. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Those warm, sunny days, we've had them. They're coming to an end. But you can still get ready for the fall and fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. You can meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting food. You can make today the day that you kickstart a new healthy routine with Factor. There's so much to love about Factor. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. You can reach your wellness goals this month with dietitian approved meals and ingredients that you are able to trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. You can stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. And why not treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. You can keep kitchen time to a minimum, too. Factor meals are ready in just 2 minutes. No shopping, no prepping, no cooking, or cleaning up. So enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well-balanced. Jason, are the Factor meals still of great popularity in the Snell household?
Well, I mean, this is the story, is that we get a lot of stuff in from podcasts, and Lauren looks at me and she's like, what are you doing? What is this thing? And instead, the Factor meals, since she works at the library and so is gone all day, has to have a lunch, she just takes the Factor meals. I mean, she just steals them from me. So I guess that I keep saying this, but like, this is the greatest endorsement to me, that she did not look upon my podcast items with disdain, but instead has, she tried one and said, "Oh, this is good. I'll have these. I'll take these." So then they just disappeared. I was going to do, I like to do that thing where people send me stuff for podcast sponsorships and I want to try them, and I had to work real hard to get one of the Factors before they were all gone. So yeah, that's the endorsement.
Go to factormeals.com/upgrade50 and use the code upgrade50. You'll get yourself 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That is the code upgrade50 at factormeals.com/upgrade50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Our thanks to Factor for the support of this show and Relay. Let's do some Apple Watch picks. What have you got, Jason?
Oh boy. Apple Watch
This is tough.
picks.
This
Well,
is tough.
I'm gonna. I think it starts easy though. I'm gonna say Apple Watch gets a bigger screen.
All right. Yep.
Bigger screen. There are a lot of rumors out there says it's just gonna get bigger. It's gonna get bigger. That's a thing they want to do. It's gonna get bigger. I don't entirely understand these watches getting bigger, but if we want to be specific, an Apple Watch gets a larger screen. I don't know if it'll necessarily be all models. The Ultra's not gonna get bigger, probably. But
we're not playing the Rickies here.
They're gonna get bigger.
It's fine.
That's right. Again, gentleman-like. Yes, Apple Watch gets larger screen.
This is going to be interesting, this one. So my wife, she loves her Apple Watch.
I know your wife. Yeah.
She's tiny.
She's tiny. She's a very small person.
She's a very small person, and I think she cares more about upgrading her Apple Watch than her phone. She finds great value in it. And I just don't know what it's going to be like. Now, this is a pick that can come up, may come up. they are apparently going to be getting thinner. And I wonder if larger but thinner will still feel good in its own way, right? That
So-
maybe it will balance
Yeah.
out, but
I mean, you've bought some watches.
Mhm.
I only have a small number of watches. I have my dad's Rolex and I have Apple watches, and that's about it.
Yep.
But I was hearing Marco Arment talk about this a little bit on ATP, and he said that he thinks for most people the fear of size is a little overstated. Not
I
only is the
agree with
style
him. Yes.
more like that, but that when you actually think, oh, it's going to be huge, it's much larger, and then you see that the smaller model is a little bit bigger, but actually on the wrist, it's not that big a deal. But it's all the details, like you said. Is it thinner? What's going on here to give it this new dimension, and is it unpleasant or not? But I think Adina will be a great test, right?
Yes.
Because she is a very small person and wants a small.
Small
I still believe that Casey Liss
Casey can wear the big one.
is not a small person
No.
and needs to get a bigger watch.
He
But
should wear a big
leave
one.
that aside. He should
No.
absolutely. But Adina is a small person, so I can't wait to see what she thinks of this, because the rumors out there of these size increases, you and I have both been kind of baffled, because it's like, who's asking for a much larger Apple Watch, and for the people who prefer the smaller watch, like, what is Apple does the market research. We don't do that, right? Apple seems to have some confidence, if this rumor is true, that people are going to like these watches. That'll be an interesting thing to hear them pitch.
So, to agree with Marco, which I do, like the fashion of watches is actually watches are bigger for in the small size and the big size. Like what would be considered small and big for people. Watch sizes tend to be bigger than Apple Watches. The thing is, Apple Watches are so much thicker, right? And so that's why I think maybe if they made them thinner, it would work. Maybe. I'm really intrigued. I mean, it's fine for me. I wear an Apple Watch Ultra and it doesn't bother me. I like the big screen.
Sure.
The thickness, whatever. Like, so I'm really intrigued to see what they do with that and how they message it, and like what the reason is. Right? Like that's
right.
Like why? So it's gonna be really interesting. I'm gonna make my first round pick to be a new watch face. I think it will go along with the fact that these watches are getting bigger, that they'll be like, we have this new watch face for you.
It's never a bad idea to pick new watch face.
Yeah. Because they
like to
tend to
refresh
do
the watch face.
something that enables them to make a new face, right? This happens a lot.
Right.
If they make any kind of hardware change to the watches, whether it's something inside or outside, they have a new watch face that takes advantage of it. Like even when the screens went kind of like they got a bit bigger and went over the sides, they had that watch face that looked like it was dripping over the side, right? Like they do this kind of stuff a lot. So I think that your first round pick is actually my first round pick too. I think it's going to happen, and I think if they do that, they will have a new watch face that goes along with it.
Well, I'm playing to win, so I'm doubling down.
Yep.
Apple Watches are a new physical size.
Oh, okay.
The screens are bigger. The watches are bigger.
Which, they're not going to make them bigger without making the screens bigger, but they could make the screens bigger without making the watches bigger. I don't think they're going to do that, but they could do that.
They could do that, and also new physical size. If they just got thinner, that would actually count too. But we'll see. New size. New size Apple Watch.
That's an interesting interpretation of those words, but
physical size.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's the case. I think that they're going to get bigger. I'm just putting all in on that weird rumor that they're bigger this year. We'll see. Well, all that weird rumor, which is mostly from Mark Gurman, whose Apple Watch sources are terrible, but Apple Watch picks are hard. So there we go. That's what I'm doing.
All right, so I'm. Basically, my thing here is: do I double down on this and say they're going to get thinner, or do I pick one of the other models just receiving any kind of update?
Right.
That's the thing that and like for me, the SE is the one that needs an update.
Yes.
But the
I
Ultra is maybe the one they're most likely to update because they've done it twice.
Yeah.
And the Ultra, they're going to want to be up to date with the new processor if they put one in, which I think they're due to do that. Maybe?
Always hard to say with Apple Watch.
I don't remember if they put a new processor in the last one. I think they did, didn't they? Because there were some features that are only on the Ultra 2 because of the new processor. I'm
basically like
say,
your therapist now, right? Where I'm just going to turn all the questions back to you. I'm
yeah. No, I get it.
Like, yeah, that is a good
you
question,
got to
Myke.
play to win. I'm going to say that I don't want to say that Apple Watch is going to get thinner because it's a lot of we're like quadrupling down on that point of there being a new watch. So I am going to say the Apple Watch SE is updated.
All right. And what it's updated to, we will leave as a mystery. But
that's a mystery for Monday.
That's classic Monday mystery. But that's a good pick. I mean, I think it seems like it's the time. Now we've been bitten by this before.
Yep.
But it seems like it's the time. That's an exciting pick. I think Apple Watch Ultra is updated would have been a more likely but also super boring pick.
Yep.
Because it seems like there'll probably be an Ultra 3. What will be new in it? I don't know. Something so that they can call it Ultra 3, but maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I do think they will do it, but they could skip it. They could, but I think the Apple Watch SE most needs the update, so I'm gonna stick with that. And our final round is other picks.
Other. Oh God. Other.
This includes we got in here iPads, we got Macs, we got some stagecraft, which we have less of this time, because a lot of that was becoming too obvious, which is why I didn't include a lot of it. All
Rainbow
other hardware.
Stage, probably going to be
there. I think at this point the Rainbow Stage has become obvious.
You can see it from the sky. Every time I fly into San Francisco Airport, we go right past Apple Park, and you can literally see the Rainbow Stage in the center of Apple Park. It's just right there. Yeah, it's great. New AirPods. That's my pick. New AirPods. New AirPod model is unveiled, if you want to put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
New AirPods.
Okay, the way I intended this when I put this in just for sake, this replaces what's currently AirPods 2. That's what they are, AirPods, right?
Well, what I'm not saying is new AirPods Pro. I'm saying new AirPods. Mm-hmm. But what I'm also not picking is the item in our document, which is new entry-level AirPods, because it's always dangerous to pick entry-level of anything with Apple, because new entry-level doesn't usually happen. Instead, it's old becomes entry-level, right? So, but yeah, I'm thinking that's exactly right. Not new AirPods Pro, new AirPods, new lower-end models.
AirPods 4th generation is what this product would be called.
Probably. Unless they invent a new AirPods that goes in the middle somewhere, but that's what we're thinking here. This is what we're thinking, is that they're going to make something with the lower level of AirPods. There's going to be change down there.
All right, I'm gonna adjust the pick then from how it's written in the document. You can tell me if you like this, which is what I had previously said was new entry level AirPods. I'm gonna new AirPods to replace AirPods 2. That's what I'm talking about. Because at the moment, you can go to Apple's website and buy new AirPods 2nd generation and AirPods 3rd generation.
So that as a separate pick from new AirPods?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but this is so the way I had intended this when I wrote this in that document is...
Got it.
If all they did was replace the AirPods 2nd generation, that's not your pick. Right? It's like I was trying to put these things in as how they are called.
My pick is basically they're going to be new AirPods at the event, right? There'll be a new model of AirPods at the event. It's sort of how I was viewing it. Just the presence of a new AirPods model of some sort at the event without any other details.
Let's get rid of the entry-level pick then, because I think we're talking across each other and it's not going to be helpful.
Well, just don't pick it.
I'm going to say specific iOS or iPadOS release day set.
Yep. That's good. That was my other choice here. So they're going to say... iOS comes out Friday. iOS comes out Thursday. iOS comes out next Tuesday. Whatever it is. Yep. I mean, the only question is always is that a specific thing that they need to say in the presentation or not? It's that stagecraft thing, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, do you mention it or does it just show up on the website later? I think that's always the question.
Yep.
With release days. Sometimes it does,
sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Well, I'm just going to counter you and say, you know what they've been doing the last year, and they're going to keep doing it. Is macOS too. macOS will be part of that too.
Oh, really? Wait,
Yeah.
did I do that in September? Not in the October event?
Last year
Wow.
they dropped macOS the same time.
Huh. That'd be nice.
Yeah, well, it's better than making Mac users wait a month for the new features that are already
two.
for their emoji reactions or whatever,
Yes.
or two. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
No, I think macOS is done. I think they're all done. I think they're all going to ship simultaneously.
That'd be great.
That's what I think. So I think that they'll say all of these OSs are coming out next week or whatever.
All right, I'm going back to AirPods, and
Okay.
I'm picking from my heart again.
Uh-huh.
New AirPods Max.
Yep.
They've got to do it. If they're going to keep selling this product, at some point, they have to do this. It still uses Lightning, and it doesn't have any of the AirPods Pro feature set now, like the new feature set. You can't do conversation detection. It can't do the new gestures, like the nodding and the shaking that they're going to have. It doesn't have adaptive transparency. Like, at some point, they need to do this. Otherwise, stop selling it. We're definitely in HomePod territory with this thing, right? They have to update this product, and I'm hoping that it's going to be now. Because I am a fan of this product line for the very specific use cases I have, which is I'm on an airplane, and I love using my AirPods Max on an airplane.
A lot of the criticism of the AirPods Max is the price and some of the details around, the sleep features and the case and the fact that it's old now. But I will say, people who have them seem to love them, right?
I love mine. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think anyone that can get past the weight, which is a problem, but if you can get past that, it's a great set of headphones. Just a great set of headphones. And I really, really want them to update this now. So I'm hoping that they will.
Well, along with my mention of the Emmy Awards earlier, I'm going to say an Apple TV Plus trailer or promo video is shown.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go with that.
That was my final pick. That was going to be my final pick. So
I'm not super confident. I'm glad to have sniped it from you, but I'm not super confident in it. I just feel like they want to boast. Why, Myke, think of it this way. Why do they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on movies from auteur directors that nobody's going to see? Why do they spend hundreds of millions? Why do they spend $80 million before they shot a frame on the deals for Brad Pitt and George Clooney for this Wolves movie that's just going to go to Apple TV Plus?
Yeah.
Why? If not to boast about it. Why would you not? Like, this is why you are spending that money, is in the iPhone event to take a moment to boast about all the amazing things you've got coming up this fall on Apple TV Plus. Why would you not do that?
Let me tell you what I think we're going to get.
Okay.
A trailer for the F1 movie. This is not my pick, but I think we'll do it.
It could be. I feel like it's probably most likely going to be like a montage of what's amazing.
This will be pretty heavily featured in it, I think, though. Like,
That's
this is
up
the most money they spent on a movie.
But they, the Pitt and Clooney movie is coming soon, right?
Sure.
Like you throw that in there, and you've got some other shows that are coming: Severance, Silo,
Slow Horses.
Yeah. Which is that the first episode of that drop last week? When does Slow Horses?
I think it's this week.
Okay.
I think it is back.
I come from the future. I can reveal with am I embargoed? I don't know if I'm embargoed or not. I've seen the first couple episodes of the new season of Slow Horses, and yeah, it's still great. I mean, I don't have any breaking news. It's still great.
Hold on,
that's all I've got.
Let me. I'm signing in.
I think my embargo is in August, so I think the embargo is up for Slow Horses, even though it's not out yet. Anyway, it's good.
Yeah.
It's still good. There's no news
good.
there. It's still good. So I think that'll be probably what it is. It's like a highlight with all the stars.
It's the first episode. The second episode's embargo is like later.
Okay. Well, I can't tell you specifics about the second episode.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that it's good. It's just still good. It's just still good.
I can't wait. I have it all to watch too. It's a nice little perk we have to have sometimes.
Yeah, every now and then.
Oh boy.
There's a pick I almost mentioned, or I almost did, but I can't because it would just break my heart. So I left it. I don't know if that's where you want to go or not, but there's one in here where I'm like, that's probably the case, but I can't be rooting for that on the day, so I've got to leave it.
All right, so here's where I am. All right, I'm picking between new AirPods feature active noise cancellation, which is the Mark Gurman rumor,
Yeah.
I then have next to each other, in case you picked one of them, Vision Pro mentioned or Vision Pro not mentioned.
Indeed. And I was leaning toward not mentioned.
Me too.
But the thing is, the tricky thing about Vision Pro not mentioned, first off, Vision Pro not mentioned will hurt my heart. So I don't want to pick it. But, they throw Vision Pro in almost as if there's somebody back there who's like, you got to mention the Vision Pro, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a real almost 50-50 about like, does it get mentioned in passing? It's not going to be a big thing, but they may even say, oh, and Vision OS 2 are all coming out next week, right? They might do that.
Because what they've done, and I think they've done it a couple of times now, and I think they're going to keep doing it maybe, is like the Vision Pro has taken the spot of the like, here's a store update. Like it's like the first thing they talk about. It's like,
gotta mention it.
We love Vision Pro and it's doing great and look how good this is.
Yeah.
To save
I don't think
hearts,
they're going to do that, but
to save our hearts, my final pick is going to be Vision Pro mentioned.
Vision Pro mentioned. Oh, we can root for it. I guess I'm sort of rooting against it, but I'm not. I'm rooting for it.
I want to root for it because I want them to talk about it because
I want them to do it. And if they don't, then you don't get a point, and that makes me happy too. So I win either way. I love it. Thank you for picking it.
There's a conversation for later in the year trying to work out what's going on.
Fall of content.
Yeah. In the fall of content. Because I think the issue that we're finding ourselves in is we are now in the alternate timeline. We swapped over, right?
Yeah.
We were on the spatial computing timeline.
And now we're on the AI timeline.
Now we're on the AI timeline. And I don't know what happens to the Vision Pro in the AI timeline. Like, the Vision Pro could have gotten all of the attention in the world when Apple saw it as their next potential product area, but they now have another one, and another one that, like, the rest of the world agrees on, where the rest of the world did not agree on AR/VR, I think. I think other tech companies were agreeing, because they all were trying to do the same thing. Like, there was just a report the other day that Meta have cancelled their expensive headset that they were working on now. Like, they had a new expensive headset that they were working on. They cancelled it. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the draft.
We'll see. That's the draft.
Draft is done.
We did it. Next week, Apple Park.
Yep.
People will watch a video at Apple Park. Other people will watch the video elsewhere. And then we will score it and break it all down. But that's I can't believe it. We're here at the end of the Summer of Fun. So I still have a Summer of Fun idea.
Okay.
That I may, because in the Bay Area, September is summer.
Okay.
This is the best weather we get all year is in September. So maybe there will be at some point a little leftover thing that I want to do from the Summer of Fun. But we'll go to it if the opportunity arises. So just everybody stay tuned for that one.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. You too, Myke. Get ready.
I look forward to finding out about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do some Ask Upgrade before we finish today?
I do. I do, because I want to do some Ask Upgrade to round out the Summer of Fun.
All right. So we have a selection of Ask Upgrade Summer of Fun focused questions as our send off to that.
Yes. I'll do rapid. We'll do rapid fire.
All right.
One,
but you want to get through all of these?
I want to get as many of these. I want to get as many of these in as possible because people ask us questions, summer themed, and we should get to it.
Let's see if we can do this. Caleb asks, "What are your feelings about the neighborhood ice cream truck? Is the music creepy, or is it just the trucks here in the Midwest that are creepy? Do you have a favorite treat to get from the truck?"
We very rarely have ice cream trucks in my neighborhood. When they do, it's funny because the Doppler shift means that the music kind of wavers as it's coming toward you or going away from you, and it always seems kind of creepy because of that and sort of sad. But the fact is, I grew up out in the country, so when my kids were young and we heard the ice cream truck, it was fun. It's fun. You go and get something. I don't have a favorite treat from the ice cream truck because, again, I have basically no experience with the ice cream truck because I didn't grow up in a place that had them, or we didn't have Halloween trick or treat. We didn't have any of the things that I have now living in the suburbs because I was out in the middle of nowhere.
I don't know how the ice cream truck could be creepy, to be honest. The ice cream truck is ice cream. When is ice cream creepy? It's not creepy. And I used to, when I was a kid, I used to love an ice lolly called a Zap lolly. That was my favorite.
Nice.
Addie asks, do you or have you flown a kite?
I got kites in my garage. I haven't flown it in a while. When but with the kids, we would go on over to the park that's near here, and we flew the kites sometimes with them. But my real story here is when Lauren and I lived in Berkeley before we got married. So it's a long time ago now. It's 30 years ago now. We would take a kite and go to the subway at Shattuck and University Avenue and get sandwiches on a weekend day, and then drive down to the Berkeley shore where there was a giant park with dogs and people flying kites. And there was always a breeze because it was across the bay from the Golden Gate Bridge and the Golden Gate opening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there was always wind there. And we would have our sandwiches and sit in the sun and fly kites, and it was great. That was a wonderful little time of my life with that year that we lived together in Berkeley. So, yes, love a kite. I haven't flown one lately, but they're great.
Logan asks, what is your go-to lawn chair? Do you have a preferred style or brand?
Oh, I really should have done a better job of this because I should have prepped for this. I think I actually use the wire cutter pick, but it's very good. It is the Coleman quad chair, portable camping chair, which has like a little cooler pocket in it that's kind of gross because it leaks and spiders get in there and stuff. But the Coleman quad chair is that's my preferred under the tree working chair. It's a camp chair, but it doesn't matter. It's great.
You know what? When I saw that question, didn't think you'd have an answer for that. I do. I don't know why.
Of course I do.
I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it's very important. That's my summer workplace out there, so it's important to have a good one.
But you have
chair.
The IKEA thing, the Frozone.
Yeah, but that's like a couch. It's not really a lawn chair. It's a couch. I sit out on the lawn in a camp chair under the tree. Okay, totally different context.
Sure. Pat asks, have you ever water skied or wakeboarded?
The answer is, have I complicated? I have tried and I failed. My balance is very bad. I'm not a very good balance person. And so when I was a kid, we did have a boat. You could do water skiing, and we did water skiing, and I tried it, and I would just fall over. I could not stay up on the water ski, and that was just bad balance. That's the bottom line. So I've tried, but I failed.
That's a shame. I've never done any of that.
You ever water skied?
No. I would, but I've never.
Okay.
Emmy asks, what was your favorite summer treat as a kid?
Oh, wow. Summer treat. I mean, we used to make, so I don't sound super dumb, I'm going to say we used to make popsicles out of just juice, where we had a little plastic container and you put the juice in it, and then you put the plastic things on top and you freeze it. And so you get like these really great juice popsicles. Those were great. Otter Pops, which are just popsicles in little plastic pouches.
I know those.
In college, because once you're in college, you get permission to do all the things that your parents wouldn't let you do, but now you're in college, so you can do them. And in college one year, we bought a box of Otter Pops at Costco. So it was literally like massive. 250 Otter Pops. Oh my God. I still had some of those Otter Pops survived for like years afterward, where it's like, oh, still got some Otter Pops in here.
I mean, they're frozen.
But those are great. And then the other treat, which is a dumb treat, but I'm going to mention it because it's the first thing that came to mind, is sun tea. I always loved, you put out a big jar of water with tea bags in it, and the sun brews it, and it makes tea, and then you have iced tea. Oh. And that's a very summery thing for me. So, yeah.
I loved slush puppies. The closest analog to this is Slurpee.
Oh yeah, Slurpee is a great one.
Yeah.
On a hot day, to get a Slurpee, and then you get the brain freeze. Oh, that is a treat. That is a treat. That's more of an. I never had Slurpees as a kid, so that's more of an adult summer treat for me, honestly.
Lemon lime Slurpees. And then when you grow up, you can have like shave ice instead. You know, it's the more adult version of that.
Sure.
Benjamin asks, as fellow bespectacle fellows, what do you use to see when you go swimming at the beach? Or are you sighted enough to go without?
I bought some adjustment, not like eye prescription, but like with an adjustment on them, set of swim goggles on Amazon. Because I was at one point standing in the water with my kids, and a wave came and knocked my glasses off, and that was almost a very bad vacation. But Lauren found them in the sand, and so it was saved. And so a couple things. Now I always travel with a backup set of glasses, and two, if I'm going to be going in the water, I put on the goggles because I can't see like super well, but I can see pretty well. I can see where I'm going. I can see under the water, and even if I'm not going under the water, I can see when I'm in the water, and they won't get washed off my head. So if you're going, consider that those exist. You can just go on Amazon even and get. You have to look at your prescription and then get the adjustment that's the closest and take your shot.
My vision is okay enough that I don't need to worry about this.
Nice.
Taylor asks, when you're at the beach or pool or lake, what is your footwear of choice? Sandals, slides, water shoes? What do you do?
Great question. I just want to mention here that flip-flops, where you've got the little thing that you have to put between your toes, have always given me toe cramps.
I hate
and foot
those
cramps,
things. Yes.
and I hate them.
I hate them too.
So I have two answers here. I have some nice Teva sandals. So you stick your foot in them, and the thing goes over your foot, and then you kind of Velcro it on all that, and that's great. And then I actually do have a pair of swim shoes that I use if I'm going in to a pool or into the water at the beach, because I found that if I was hanging out with my kids in the pool and bouncing up and down on the bottom and all of that I rubbed my feet raw and they would be painful and bloody afterward. So now I wear little water shoes when I'm in the water, and they're great.
Very delicate
like
feet.
neoprene with a little sole, and it means my feet don't get hurt, and that's nice. But if I'm like just enjoying the beach and might get a little wet or whatever, it's the Teva sandals. They're great.
I wear slides because it don't cause me any pain. Jens asks, what is your favorite cocktail and why is it less fancy than Myke's?
It's less fancy than Myke's because I don't drink cocktails. I don't really drink
why.
hard alcohol at all.
Yep.
And so therefore I have no favorite. My favorite cocktail is, by default, what does that make it? Like a virgin something. So
sure.
No. That's my answer. Sorry. It's that sun tea from before.
There you go.
Mike, what's your favorite cocktail?
I'm a margarita man. I used to be a bourbon guy, but then bourbon just doesn't make me feel good, and so I switched to tequila, and margarita is my favorite.
It's interesting. Bourbon doesn't make you feel good. You know what makes me feel good? Bustin'.
Lindsay asks, did you ever go to summer camp?
I did one time. I went to computer camp in Solvang, California. Yep, I did. Learned more than I ever needed to know about Atari computers. I was an Apple, or was I an Apple II kid at that point? I might not have even been an Apple II kid. They didn't have the computers that I knew, but there were Atari computers there. And I learned some stuff, and it was the absolutely typical, like right from the song, story where I was this was 7th grade, incredibly homesick at the beginning, and by the end I didn't want to leave. So one of those.
That's probably the way for a lot of those kinds of things, I imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how it goes. It's such a stereotype, and it's absolutely the case that I was. Here's the credit I'm going to give to summer camp. When I went off to college, I did not get horribly homesick. Because I went to summer camp, and I worked through my feelings as a 7th grader, and so I was kind of over it, and I was able to be more independent afterward. I knew that was going to be fine, and that was a lesson learned at computer camp, where I guess I also learned some things about writing like a text adventure or something. I don't know. It was a weird camp.
And finally, Michael asks the age-old oft-asked question. On rare occasions, Jason has signed off after Myke, and you say, goodbye, Jason Snell, with verbatim, goodbye, Jason Snell, right? So like I would say goodbye, Jason Snell, and you say goodbye, Jason Snell, sometimes.
Exactly. Sometimes.
Usually you just say goodbye, Myke, or goodbye, or whatever, but sometimes you say goodbye, Jason Snell.
It's true.
What is it that makes you decide to do this?
Whim.
When
There's
you're
no
feeling it?
plan.
Yep.
It's a whim. You're feeling it. Sometimes it's a special episode, and that makes you want to do it. And I got feedback from somebody who said they can hear me pause as if I'm considering whether to say it or not.
Yeah. That's true. I hear it too. I know when you're going
and
to
that
do
is
it.
absolutely the case where
Yeah.
I'm thinking not just about that, but if I have another kind of like different kind of sign off to do.
Mm.
But there's no rhyme or reason for it. It just sometimes it happens. I don't want to lean into it too much. By the way, for people who don't know, this is a classic old timey comedy bit.
Mm-hmm.
Burns and Allen, and if you remember George Burns, who was in a bunch of movies when he was a very, very old man, well, he was part of a comedy duo with his wife Gracie. And Gracie Allen was the funny one, and George Burns was the straight man. And which is very funny to think of if you remember George Burns as a very old man with a cigar being God in Oh God, or, in the Sunshine Boys, right? I think he was in. Anyway. And their sign off was always say goodbye, Gracie. Goodbye, Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it comes from. But
So
it's
me and Brad
an old
do
timey
that.
comedy bit.
And we have done it for probably 10 years now on the Pen Addict. As I say goodbye, Brad, he says goodbye, Brad. Like that.
Yeah, see, there you
he
go.
just started doing it, and that's just how it's been
And
forever.
why not do it? It's just a different thing. But I don't want to do it every time. I want it to
No.
be like you can have it every now and then as a treat.
It's a treat. It's a treat for all of us.
Yeah.
Like the summer was. If you would like
Like
to
summer.
send in your feedback, your follow-up, or your questions, go to upgradefeedback.com. We got so much feedback about the icon tier lists.
We're going to
Lots of
have to
people
just
love the
deal with it at
show.
a later time,
Yeah,
right?
lots of people love the show. Lots of people had a lot of opinions. Lots of people had some interesting things to say, and I will hold them. We'll get to it at
Yes.
some point. I
We'll
mean,
get to
there
it.
is
That'll be a
that
segment in a
quiet
couple
week,
weeks.
right? There's the quiet
Yeah.
week when we know about the phones but don't have the phones. Maybe we'll get to it then, but thank you to everybody that sends
Maybe.
their feedback and their questions in every week at upgradefeedback.com. You can check out Jason at sixcolors.com and hear his podcasts here on Relay and at theincomparable.com. You can hear my podcast here on Relay too and check out my work at cortexbrand.com. You can find us online. Jason is at jsnell. I'm Myke. I am YKE. I forgot my own name there for a second. You can watch video clips of this show on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where we are at Upgrade Relay. I'll give another shout out to Chip, our incredible video editor, who's put together some great graphics for the video version today. So hi if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, go check it out, because you can always see clips and full episodes there too. Thank you to our members who support us with Upgrade Plus. They get longer ad-free versions of the show each and every week. This time we're going to talk about some of the things that were in our list that we did not pick. Thank you to our sponsors this week, the fine folks over at Factor and ExpressVPN. Please go to stjude.org/relay and donate today and help us support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and their fight against childhood cancer. But most of all, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week after the iPhone event at some point.
Yeah.
Until then, say goodbye, Jason Snell.
Goodbye, Gracie.